Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it. But
increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
What's going on, friends? D Spear, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And I am flying solo today, other than our amazing guest. My buddy Rob G is hanging out playing some golf. He loves playing once a week, and this particular opportunity came up, and so he ditched us. No, he didn't ditch us. He's awesome. We appreciate him big time. But every week we come at you with some incredible guests, incredible content. And today's not going to be any different than that. And a little bit of the story here. Started the show in November 2020 in the thick of COVID. My good friend Cameron Toth encouraged me to do this. I had gotten approved for LinkedIn Live back when it was hard to get approved. And I'm like, I got to do something with this. And we created the Master Connector Show. And it's been a blessing. Of course, this introvert, Rob and I now, who's now my co-host, we've done about 25 episodes together. Cameron is now back in his event staffing company, which is blowing up bigger than before COVID. But but Rob and I are both introverts, former shy guys, if you will. And it's crazy that we're doing a show called The Master Connector, but it's been a blessing. It's been amazing. A big part of our show is about you, the community. So we love you, appreciate you. If you're on here, great to have you on, Renee. Good seeing you again. If you're on here, tell us where you're from. Tell us your city, your state, country. And also get in the comments and connect with each other. This is the Connector Show, the Master Connector Show. So we want you to connect with people. So tell people what you do, and make sure you connect with each other through LinkedIn. But again, I say this a lot. We don't believe in LinkedIn lurkers. We believe in LinkedIn participants. So if you're on here, make sure that you're identifying yourself. We don't know if you're here. Like, I love LinkedIn audio, and that's the new thing that LinkedIn now has. And what's cool about LinkedIn audio is when you jump on, it shows that you're on. Well, on the video side, it does not. So unless you get in the comments, like our amazing community member Yolanda Chin, tuning in from the great state of Texas. Great to have you on here, Yolanda. And Renee tuning in from Southern California. SoCal girl is in the house. And I appreciate you, Renee. You're amazing as well. So, but we're going to get things started here. And what's cool is, I want to share a little bit from the heart here, right? So embracing change is about recognizing that life is in constant motion, right? Nothing ever changes, right? Things always change, I should say, right? And both at home and on the road. It requires an awareness of the exchange that happens with each shift. When one door closes, another opportunity opens. We hear that phrase a lot, right? So, whether you're navigating the familiarity of home or the unpredictability of the road, change invites growth and new experiences. That's one of the things. My passion is travel, and I love inspiring people, love being the light. That's why I made a commitment very recently that, hey, my goal, my vision is to be the light, to travel the world, uplift, inspire, and get paid to do that. So that's cool, right? Being able to kind of combine passions, both kind of work related and, kind of life related passions, right? But listen, living in the moment means fully appreciating where you are, who you're with, and the experiences you're having, regardless of the setting. I've experienced that. Sometimes in the craziest tragedies, you've been able to have an opportunity to connect with people and be a blessing to people. And we saw that, unfortunately, when we're not too far away from the the anniversary of 9/11 and the craziness that happened there, but people came together, and there was a lot of great things that have happened in that crazy tragedy. But at home, this might mean savoring the comfort of and routine, while on the road it could involve embracing the excitement of the unknown. That's the other thing I love about we're planning this trip to Italy, and we're thinking about initially we were like, hey, we should probably plan it all out. But, there's a part of us that's like, we should just go and wing it and experience the crazy excitement of that, and who we'll meet and what we're going to do and all that. Right. But this mindset allows you to build resilience and adaptability and essential traits for navigating the complexity of modern life. Whether rooted or roaming, embracing change with awareness helps create a life rich in experience and meaning. So listen, if you're ready, I want you to go into the comments right now, because again, we're participants here. We're not lurkers, right? Go type in right now hashtag let's go, and we'll get into this bad boy. And I'm gonna have an opportunity to introduce our amazing guest. So let's do that right now. And of course, my man Rob is great. He's not dyslexic like me, so I'm going to do my best to kind of read the Karen's bio. But Karen Loftus is a longtime multi-platform creator, writer, producer, sought-after speaker, and travel and luxury lifestyle writer for over 100 print and online publications, including Forbes, Robb Report, Vogue, Architectural Digest. Pre-COVID, she launched Women's Adventure Travel, which I guess an acronym WAT, W-A-T, right? A hub for women-driven content and events, and a travel company where she designs and leads trips for women with a seeded destination through a feminine lens. Cool. Karen and her team also create custom travel tips and retreats under her Lofty Traveler umbrella for individuals, groups, and companies. She curates travel for high net worth individuals and coordinates travel, conferences, and retreats for various companies. So if you're ready, please welcome to the show the amazing, the unbelievable Ms. Karen Loftus. Karen, great to have you on the show with us.
Hey, Steve. Thank you. Thanks for the great intro. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love what you were saying, like on the road, whether you're rooted or roaming. I love that. Yes. Change happens everywhere, right?
That's it. The only constant is change, right? That's the one thing we know for sure. So let's look at this. Renee is writing us a little book here. She said, I'm a woman. I'm a woman's life and leadership coach. Okay. She's given a little bit about her background. All right. Well, go make sure. Listen, Renee's awesome. Go make sure to connect with Renee for sure. And she says, let's go. And obviously Yolanda is welcoming you. And yeah, we're excited to get things rolling. So, and Karen, tell us again where you're tuning in from. I know you could be anywhere in the world, which you always are, right? But where are you in right now?
Yep. Just got back from Vegas from a big travel conference for 10 days, Virtuoso in Las Vegas. But I'm presently outside of Philadelphia, which is where I'm based.
Awesome. Very cool. And I'm sure what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas. You're probably not going to be able to tell us. Right? But anyway.
You'd have to kill me.
Exactly. But so community, we love having everyone on here. Why don't you go ahead in the hashtag in the comments, type in hashtag embrace as we get into this first question for Karen. So Karen, here's the question, right? How can embracing change lead to unexpected opportunities in both life and business? If you would, please.
Well, this idea of exchange of change to me came about when I thought of travel. In my the 3 tenets of my women's travel company are community, empowerment, and story. And the empowerment part of it is if you leave your home and you go someplace you've never been, you've traveled with people you've never met, you've done things you never imagined you could do. Inherently, it's incredibly empowering. And there's, I think Renee just mentioned transformative. Travel in its very essence is transformative. So I believe in transformative travel. So when you go to these places, you change, but whether you go to another city or state or more far-flung adventures in Europe and Asia, or even something as far away as Africa, you change, but at the same time, it's not a dartboard. It's not like we're throwing darts at a wall. It is an exchange of change because the people you interface with and things that happen, you change and they will never be the same. So I think just stepping out of your comfort zone, whether it's travel or, when it comes to work, launching a new business, or even just presenting yourself to an audience you've never known, or taking it on a new, part of your entrepreneurial in journey, that always creates change and therefore spurs on creativity and great growth, of course.
Love it for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Yeah, and I wanted to just share like a couple little
Please,
stories. My background, of
please.
course, I work in travel, but my background, I was a stand-up comedian for 10 years all over the world. I had a nonprofit called Body Comedy. I worked with survivors of violence. And then, of course, now I'm in travel. So when I used to travel the world as a comedian, it was, super risky. I think of stand-up comedians as like the bungee jumpers of the entertainment world. You never knew what was going to happen. And I started in New York, then was in LA. But when I went overseas to perform 25 years ago in the Middle East and in Asia, one night, a lot of members from Parliament in Singapore took me out to dinner, all these members of banks that were the sponsors. And they said, because it was much more, provocative to have a woman on stage in these other countries. I was the only female in a comedy festival. And this member of Parliament said, "You just changed the face of our culture tonight." So that was an incredible change that I was like, oh, wow, we take this for granted in the US. And when I went to Kuala Lumpur and I was on stage, women that were dressed in traditional hijabs came up to me and said, "You're saying everything that I'm thinking." And I was like, you don't need a microphone to say this. So there's an example of the journey, and what I went on totally changed me, but it was amazing to see how it also changed. So I liken it to a dance, this exchange of change.
Love it. That's great. Yeah, I was trying to remember as you were talking. One of my favorite shows that my wife and I like to watch is Somebody Feed Phil, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a food show, but it's a travel show. And he talks about it. We like him so much. He came to visit Connecticut. He came to Hartford, played at the I believe it's the Schubert Theater up in Hartford, and we went to see him. And he told a story. He's like about how he got into this, and he said right around in his, I think he was like maybe 21 years old, he traveled to Italy, and it was a life-changing experience for him. And he realized how much it molded and shaped him as a human, and how he really always wanted to do something with travel. And so when he started the Somebody Feed Phil, it's on Netflix. It's a great show. I think, I don't know, maybe 5 series in now to it. But he said that he went to initially went to the Food Channel. He tells a story about this funny. And the Food Channel basically said, "Oh no, we're not really doing shows that are focused on food. We're doing food adjacent type shows." So he's okay. Now who do we go to? He's like, okay, now we're doing it. We're going to do a travel food show. Let's go try the Travel Channel. Goes to Travel Channel. Travel Channel's like, well, we're not really doing travel related shows anymore. We're doing travel related, travel adjacent shows. Okay.
A
So
lot of
then he finally,
adjacent here.
yeah, exactly. But he finally wound up getting an opportunity to go on Netflix. But it's a great show. But again, I know that this is not about his show, but the idea of travel, right? And some of the things that I love to do is I love talking to and meeting people, and I love eating. And so travel is just such a cool place to just experience those things. And then, of course, all the other adventures that you experience. I remember going to Spain, and we went to Rock of Gibraltar, and this visual, we have pictures of it, this monkey, the monkey they're out and about on, my experience of monkeys were at the Bronx Zoo, but I had a monkey on my head, and this is when I had hair. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
travel,
after being a stand-up for 10 years, which was incredible travel and so life-changing, a friend of mine invited me on what's called a press trip, where I went to New Zealand to cover the Cocktail World Cup, and I was there as a journalist and covering it. And then one thing led to the other, and the people in charge of it were like, "Oh yeah, we're doing bungee jumping," because the mixologists were making drinks while bungee jumping and being judged. And so I thought I was just watching it. And then before I knew it, they like have you weighed, they brand your hands, suddenly your legs are bound, and like hopping off this bridge going, I had no intention of bungee jumping, but I looked at stand-up as the bungee jumping of the entertainment world. On my first ever trip as a travel writer, I was literally bungee jumping off a bridge in New Zealand. And it was so crazy. And that's really what got me really into the adventure, because you are so out of your comfort zone. You do something that is scary and, daunting, but you
yeah,
come out of it. And I think that's where the pleasure bleeds into the business, is that when you do these things on a personal level or a physical level, or, travel, you do these things that are really out of your comfort zone, and you're on your own, and you meet people, and you hold your own, and you discover things about yourself you didn't realize. And then you take all that home, and then you bring that back to your rooted place. Now that's a bit more expansive and a bit more different and interesting. So I always
yeah,
find that you find something about yourself you didn't realize when you go on the road.
no doubt. Just want to acknowledge Renee, who's in the comments here a lot, which is great. She's like, very true, Karen. All lives change when you get to share your voice with others. And then she's like, talk about jumping in all in, huh? That's great. Appreciate that. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, we want to keep things rolling here. We want to kind of cover a few spots here. So want to talk about embrace. I'm sorry, about growth now. So we're going to jump in on the topic and growth. So community, type in hashtag growth. And as we ask this next question. So Renee, yeah, I'm calling you Renee. Karen, what does the exchange to change truly mean, and why is it crucial for growth? Okay, and you kind of touched on it, but let's dig into that a little bit deeper if we can.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I've always put myself in, I don't want to say dangerous situations, but being a stand-up, I've lived in New York and LA, I lived in Europe and London and Barcelona. So I'm, moving careers, entertainment, but at the same time, I want to make sure I don't get stagnant. I am constantly growing personally, professionally. So when I moved back to LA after being in New York, I was really careful that I didn't want to be, even though I was traveling the world as a comedian, I wanted to make sure that when I came back home to LA, that I was still expanding my horizons and traveling in other worlds. So I'd launched a nonprofit called Body Comedy, and I worked with survivors of violence, women, teen prostitutes, women and girls. And Comedy Central was my sponsor, but essentially I went all over LA and I ended up working with male domestic violence offenders. And it was this incredible program, but it was super risky because the whole thing was I wanted to make sure that I lived in other worlds outside of just the one toontown of entertainment. So that personal growth was incredible. It was kind of scary sometimes when people are like, why are you doing this? That I would go into a prison by myself with a boombox, which kind of dates me. But I would go in with 100 inmates and teach yoga, meditation, sound, clown. And it was so incredible and definitely incredible growth for them to see their growth, but also for me. And then I took a lot of that richness and then you bring it back into your storytelling or your performing. And so I just think there's, growth for me, again, that exchange of change where I'm always taking classes, or again, I always liken back to travel, that just constantly expanding your journey, other countries, other places. So yeah, I think growth is so if you stop growing, then you stop living.
Yeah, I heard it said you're either a tomato that's ripening or a tomato that's dying, and so you always want to be for sure. Yeah. So let's talk about adaptability, right? So let's kind of keep this rolling. I feel like if you don't, again, we're talking about change, and so a big part of that to me is being adaptable. So community, type in hashtag adaptable as we get into this question, right? How do you stay adaptable and open to change, especially in unpredictable environments? And I know when you're traveling, things can be very unpredictable, right? Especially if you're overseas. So tell us a little bit about that, and maybe throw a story in there if you want to.
Yeah. So again, I love travel. I've been to 75 countries, many, many times over. I'm a big fan of Africa. And I went on a trip with a bunch of journalists, and we were in Tanzania, and it was this unbelievable trip, and it was amazing. But we're in this Jeep, and one of the best things on safari is the silence of safari is like one of the most intoxicating sounds. And you hear nothing, and then you hear like the bush or the crackling while your Jeep rides, or an animal roaring in the background. But this one night, all these journalists were with us, and they were talking about editors and assignments. And I was just like, why are you talking about this? Like, we're here. Let's be in the moment. Let's be in Africa. Let's not talk about work. And it's funny, when you're in a Jeep, the animals can be like 6 feet away from you. So, I mean, if they want to take a leap and, go after you, and I was like the closest one in the back of the Jeep. And there's this moment that I guess animals, like, I didn't realize it until then. And I've been on many safaris, but this lion turned its head, like it was annoyed listening to these people talk. And it turns its head and the eyes were like cobalt black. And the guide was like, we're out of here. And we took off. And so after that trip, it was amazing, but I just felt like I was with too much familiarity in a foreign place by being with a bunch of writers and people talking about home. So I committed to going to Africa by myself. About 2 months later, I went by myself for a month, and I spent 2 weeks in Botswana and 2 weeks in Namibia. And, straight out of the gate, like my luggage didn't arrive. And then the first day in safari in Botswana, they're like, don't go back to your room. And I'm like, why? They're like, oh, there's a monkey incident. So a monkey broke in, which they do, and, crashed everything. And it looked like it was jumping on the bed, and they looked like it was, in the mirror at itself, because there were paw prints everywhere. But so there were a lot of, definitely bumps in the road. But, Botswana was amazing. And then I went to a roaming safari camp, which was way out of my comfort zone. Like, I'm not a camper. And it was literally like they pitch a tent, you're in the bush, and like animals are coming around at night. And I arrived and there were 11 people. So I was the 11th wheel, 5 couples, and it was really rustic. And I thought, this is, I'm into like luxury travel. But the guy that arranged my trip at the time said, I think you need to experience the real Africa. This is real. This is rugged. So I remember going into I would say my room, but it was a tent. And I was, crying, like, what am I doing? Maybe I took this too far. And what happened was that one of the guides came in and was like, Miss Karen. And so he was really sweet. And what happened was I was in the Jeep with the group and I had dinner with the group. But because I was a little bit left of center or an odd number, I ended up at night hanging out with the guys. There was three crew and a guide. And I sat by the fire with them. And during the day, they would wash the clothes in a bucket and they would set up bucket showers every day. And I would follow them around, and the chef would bake bread in the ground, and they would tell me stories about their villages and tell me about their life. And we would sing songs, and we just became so tight in this 2 weeks. And I got exactly what I wanted. So the adaptability is, once I was like, okay, this is a little more rustic, but then I ended up loving it. I didn't want to be like, when we finally went back to the real world and we were on Wi-Fi, I was like, no, I don't want to be on. It was adapting to something quieter and lovelier. And it was exactly what I set out to get when I went on the trip, which was real Africa. I was hanging with Africans. I was hanging with the locals, not with, tourists. And it was the most amazing. And just having that little bit of shift and being adaptable made magic.
I love it. It's funny because when we travel, we've done a lot. We almost never. I don't think we actually, only one time just recently. We've never, other than this recent, been in a resort where we have the all inclusive, because we want to have the true local experience and resort food and it's just there. So we love that. But we haven't had as crazy of experiences. That means we need to do a lot more travel. So I'll certainly be reaching out.
Yes, you got to do Africa.
For sure. I want to acknowledge Renee. I brought this up before, but you took something out of your comfort zone and expanded in many ways. I appreciate that. And then Yolanda basically says, "No more monkeys jumping on your bed." Okay. She's like, anyway.
Yeah.
But very cool. So let's move on to awareness, right? So I'm a guy from the Bronx, and it's interesting. You could be a quote unquote predator if you look like you're not aware, and you're kind of like look scared. And I believe travel can also be a little bit of that too. And I don't want it to be on the negative side of that. But it's funny because when we did go to Spain and we went to Rock of Gibraltar, we were literally a ferry ride over to Morocco, to Africa. And they're like, no, you shouldn't go. It's too dangerous. I don't know why 2 Bronx kids that are both black belts decided to listen.
Wow.
When we knew we could probably take care of ourselves anyway, and we didn't go. But anyway,
you got to go back there.
We'll go back for sure. But I want to talk about awareness. So community, type in hashtag awareness if you can. And we're going to check on this one topic, right? What strategy do you use to maintain awareness of the changes happening around you? And as it relates in general, but in particular, could be, of course, some travel.
I guess I'll talk about primary recency, something that happened in Vegas. We all think Vegas is just this tawdry, gambling crazy, which it can be, of course. But I was there for Virtuoso Travel Week, which is the biggest luxury travel conference. I'm used to going to conferences as a travel writer for many years. So it's a completely different, mindset, being with my kind of nomadic, very gypsy writing, travel the world, amazing people. Now I was meeting with a lot of the sales and marketing and GM and sometimes hotelier or owners of hotels. So much more super high-end business driven, thousands of people, a bit intimidating. I mean, overwhelming. It was just, I had 88 meetings and parties and events and what have you. So it was incredible. I definitely was, I'm familiar with the travel space, but it was different. And I'm thinking, I'm at this big corporate conference. And the first night, I walk in and there's a guy, this DJ, and he's like barefoot and playing the drums and DJing. And then 5 guys come out and start singing the most amazing a cappella. So there's like all these like video and visuals and drums. And, in my plays years ago, I always had a drummer, and suddenly there's like song and entertainment and photo and video. And they came out and they spoke, the different people from Virtuoso, which I'm a member of. And then Simon Sinek came out, which I'm sure a lot of your followers know him. He was a keynote speaker and just super passionate, and talked about like the intimacy and the personal approach of actually working with a travel advisor. So that's the way I see it. It's very intimate, it's personal, it's not like sales, it's more like being given a privilege to, realize someone else's dream. And then, as if that wasn't enough, all of a sudden Martin Luther the third comes out, and there's this whole legacy program and nonprofit, and I just thought, oh my gosh, here I am.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's me or you, Karen, but something stopped went down. So anyway, this is great. I mean, I'm not again. Unfortunately, I don't have Rob on here to tell me if it's me or Karen, but I've been having some tech challenges here and there. So, but yeah, so we're excited here to have Karen on here. I know she has an offer, and again, I'm going to continue talking until she cuts me off and comes back on here. But she has a 15-minute travel consultation offer. So if you go ahead and she is freezing. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that. So if you go ahead and go find her on LinkedIn and make sure that you you connect with her, and make sure to ask her for reference the Master Connector show. She'll definitely give you a 15-minute free consultation as an offer because you came and watched the show. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you, Karen. Sorry, we had some tech challenges, but our community got 99% of what you had to say. So we appreciate you. In the meantime, listen, community. Obviously, as you probably know, I wrote a book recently, the Tao of a Master Connector. Feel free to here she comes. She's back. Hopefully, we'll see. But in the meantime, feel free to check out the book, the Tao of a Master Connector. Order your copy today. Okay, Karen, you're back, huh?
Yes. When did I pop out?
I don't know, because I wasn't sure if it was me.
I was telling the story.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, the awareness was that nothing is ever as you expect it. And I think being aware and being open to things, again, the exchange of change, or the dynamic nature of change, is that I was at this business event, but as I walked out of this event at Bellagio after being wowed and seeing all these different parts of my background, a part of this business conference, I come out, and everyone from the GM to the chef to everyone who worked at the Bellagio, a 1.5-minute video long of people lined up through, were whooping and hollering and waving napkins and cheering, and they were showing gratitude for us being there. And that was just like, I was like literally tears streaming down. It was just this overwhelming swell of gratitude and joy, and at a business conference, which I thought was amazing.
It's amazing.
So that was the exchange of change, the exchange of gratitude, and just being in the moment and having a great time.
Well, I already told the community about your offer while you were off camera. Best way for them to reach you, and we're going to close the show down in a minute here. So best way to reach you, and any final sentence or two you have for the community.
I would just say thank you, Steve, for having me. I appreciate it. And yes, if anyone's interested in travel, personally, professionally, individually, solo travel, with a group, retreat, what have you, reach out to me on LinkedIn, DM me. I'm offering free travel consultations to anyone that reaches out and just says Master Connector Show. And I would love to meet with your people and talk to them. So thank you, Steve. I hope I get you on a African safari. That's my goal. Let's take your audience on safari. Let's do that.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yes.
So, all right, Renee. Karen, I'm keeping calling you Renee because Renee's been all over the comments. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to put you in the green room. I'll see you in a minute. All righty. All right. Well, that was awesome. Listen, next week, we always have great guests. Next week, we're going to have Erica Rothenberger, and I'm going to tell you a cool story about Erica when we get a chance to see her on next week, Wednesday the 4th. Same bad time, same bad channel, 1:00 EST, for the topic of the audacity to be resilient with Erica Rothenberger. And if you're interested in, I need to post that here. Give me a second here. I need my co-host here. There it is, right? And then if you want to learn more about some of the upcoming shows And if you're interested in actually sponsoring a show, go to the masterconnector.show and you can learn more about that. So, but hey, I just want to end with a last closing thought here, right? So Bethany Hamilton, a professional surfer, I think there was a movie on this, lost her arm in a shark attack at age 13. And instead of giving up, she embraced the change, relearning how to surf, and eventually returning to competitive surfing, even winning championships. Her journey of resilience and adaptability shows that embracing change, no matter how daunting, can lead to incredible growth and inspire others to overcome their own challenges. Remember, folks, let's make sure to embrace the challenge, adapt, change, and always shine your light. And we'll see you next week. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys.
And you just got to hear some of their challenges. And yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.